Um, Today is, as you all know, is the 1 year anniversary of the devastating earthquake that struck southern Turkey and northern Syria last year. And and we wanted to commemorate this day. It was definitely a very tragic day for thousands, well, actually millions of Syrians and Turkish people that lived in the region. It was two twin earthquakes. One was 7.8, and the one that happened right after was a 7.6 that devastated Turkey, southern Turkey. The epicenter was an area called Kahramanmaraş, which is near Gaziantep. But the area that Karam House is in, and Reyhanli, the province of Hatay, was very severely affected by this earthquake, as well as northern Syria, which is, as everybody knows, is a war-torn area. So the devastation of this very strong earthquake happening in the region that has already had over a decades-long war, as well as millions of people being displaced and refugees living in very vulnerable situations, just added another layer of devastation that we all witnessed in our work, which we'll be talking about today. Um, One of the things that we wanted to make sure everybody knew is that we wanted to go over the things that we did since the 1 year ago, as well as what we're doing now to support Syrian refugee communities in southern Turkey. You can go to the second slide. So, it is a very sad day that over 57,000 people, some accounts have it at 59,000 people lost their lives 1 year ago in that earthquake. And we lost from Karam House 10 of our students along with their families. Most of these students were from Antakya, from the city that's north of Karam House. And they were full of life, full of potential, very excited to come about an hour away every weekend to study in our studios and take our innovative education programs and be together and really learn. I was in Turkey visiting Karam House in January of 2023, and it was on a weekend, so I actually saw a lot of these kids and remember them. Especially Ahmed, because he was so little coming into the program, much younger than our usual like teenagers that are between 14 to 18, and he would tell the bus driver, I'm really small, I can squeeze into the bus, just let me come in and I want to go to Karam House. I also remember Yezen, who was actually told me he was studying in a public school in Antakya, but he was very lucky to get into one that offers some technical support and training. So he was a little bit knowledgeable about the things that we were doing at the Makerspace. And so I asked him, then why would you come here all the way on your weekend and spend your weekend at Karam House? And he said, because I want to learn more and more. And this is really how all of our kids are. And so these 10 young people that we lost, along with their families, we think about them every day, and it's a big tragedy, a loss, and that's echoed in the loss of the thousands and thousands of other people that were killed in the earthquake. I just wanted to mention their names and have a moment of silence for everybody who lost their lives in the earthquake. Rashid, Abdel Nasir, Sidra, Aisha, Hajar, Hussam, Sundus, Ahmed, Tala, and Yazan. One of the really important points of having this event and sharing the earthquake report, which we did a few days ago, and continuing to share with you all of our updates, truly is to thank you for being with Karam Foundation. I know so many of you have been with us for a long time before the earthquake, and we also had new donors that supported us during the earthquake. It really was the generosity that we were flooded with from the very hours after the earthquake all the way through that made us capable of doing the things that I'm going to be telling you about, and being able to act and really shift our programming, shift the way that we were acting on the ground, and being able to help as many people as possible in all of the ways that we could. We couldn't have done that without the generosity of all of our supporters and our donors. And so this really changed how we were able to react in the earthquake. And obviously, our supporters have helped us all the way through with all of the work that we've done at Karam. So we want to thank you all for your support and your contributions. Here's just a list of some of the grants that we received after the earthquake, and we're really proud of receiving large grants from family foundations, large foundations. Some foundations were donating to Karam for the first time in this humanitarian setting, and we also were able to get the support of some influencers like Rami Youssef, who held a fundraiser for us in London and gave us all of the proceeds. People like Bella Hadid they were posting on Instagram and posting our fundraisers, as well as some media support that was able to get our message out far and wide. We had over 3,000 new donors join our community, and we were able to raise over $2 million for our earthquake relief efforts. So before I get into what we did, I did give an overview a little bit about the earthquake, about the magnitude of the earthquake. It was the worst natural disaster in the region's modern history, and it affected obviously the areas of southern Turkey as well as northern Syria, Aleppo and Idlib, and like I said before, areas that were already ravaged by the war, by conflict, and by displacement. It compounded the refugee crisis that was already existing in southern Turkey, as well as the internally displaced people in northern Syria. One thing that I know that if you followed us, you're aware of it, but it's also worth reminding is that the few days right after the earthquake, people weren't even paying attention that Antakya, Hatay was the worst hit area of all of the affected areas. And nobody really was looking at that just because the epicenter was Kahramanmaraş and Gaziantep, and everybody had their eyes on northern Syria because of already the the despair and the situation of like complete loss of infrastructure already, and getting an earthquake on top of that. But in terms of the actual destruction of the earthquake, Antakya, which is an ancient city, Antioch, was completely destroyed. The old city and the core was completely destroyed, and still now it's under a plan of being rebuilt. And so though it took a few days for New York Times to share drone footage of Hatay for people to actually, we were seeing it from the first hours because we were hearing it from our team that survived the earthquake, but people were like, oh, like, what are you talking about? Hatay is kind of like, why is Hatay like the one that's most destroyed? And then it really turned out to be really terrible. We are lucky that Raihanli, where Karam House is, was a small town that was not really affected by the earthquake directly. It was a couple of buildings that fell. There's material damage to some buildings, but in general, it was preserved more than other areas around it, which made it a safe haven for a flood of refugees, both Turkish and Syrian, that were displaced by the earthquake, to actually occupy all of the open areas in Reyhanli. And we'll see how that affected the town as well. You can go to the next slide. So in terms of our immediate response, 1 year ago, we wake up in the morning, the earthquake has happened in Turkey. We had heard about it at night. We did not know the severity of it or the impact of it. And we're waking up to hear all of the news and really the shock of the team. Our team are all Syrian refugees in Reyhanli for the most part. And what was going on in the first hours was really, setting up the WhatsApp emergency groups, making sure that everybody in our team is okay. One of our teammates, Asala, lost her home, and she was for a few days really homeless in Antakya. She lives in Antakya with her and her daughters and her parents. And we were beginning to hear the stories of loss of friends and family members and colleagues from other organizations, and the devastation of it all was beginning to appear. At the same time, Syrians who work in the humanitarian space, people were gathering at Karam House. Our team was gathering at Karam House from the beginning, and immediately we opened up Karam House to be a space of refuge for whoever needed the space, as well as beginning to coordinate what we can do in the immediate moments after the earthquake, the hours after the earthquake. And so the team And this is kind of like what I describe as like almost like a splitting of the team on the ground. And here in the US, about half of us was they were figuring out like what we need to do, and the other half was figuring out like how are we going to fundraise for it and be able to support all of our team's effort. And so that communications piece that you all probably were seeing a lot on the daily of what we're doing was also supported greatly by the team on the ground going out and asking, what do people need? How can we supply it? How can we solve these problems? And immediately we were turned into a humanitarian aid organization once again, which we have not done for many years. But we just jumped in because actually on those first days, there was nobody there to help. So the first day was distributing water and bread and blankets to people, anybody who needed it on the streets. And as the days passed, we began to really hone in on where the need was, distributing hundreds of food kits, warm meals to families and individuals, as well as we realized by day 2 or 3 that there were a lot of people trapped in Antakya. They couldn't leave because the roads were destroyed going in. The port was on fire. There was no way of people being able to leave the city, and their supplies were dwindling. And so we were able to coordinate and get buses get to go to the city and pick up people. So we evacuated almost 500 people from the city of Hatay and got them into safety. And we also were delivering blankets, water, hygiene products, and medication from Istanbul. Our site manager, Firas, was in Istanbul by coincidence when the earthquake happened. And so he was able to load up a huge truck and come down by road on the truck, which took him a couple of days to get there. And because the roads were so bad, but bringing with him a lot of supplies when he arrived. Also keeping in mind that this team of Syrian refugees were also survivors of the earthquake themselves. So these are people that were already like traumatized, have to take care of their own families, living in a lot of fear. The aftershocks of the earthquake lasted for weeks and weeks, and that fear they stayed with them for a long time. And still, they were able to support others and want to act and to support others. In Istanbul, at our Karam house, it became a community space of healing, and we were able to really make the continuation of the programming and providing that continuity was really, really important to us because it is a source of mental support and of healing for the kids that were able to come and still have their routine. We were, we made it like a lot of games, a lot of activities to make things to send to the South to support, because so many of these people have relatives and lost family members in the earthquake. And also they were some people that were leaving the South to go to the North were coming in to be with these families and be together because they no longer had a place to live. So some of the families that we support came to us asking for assistance, saying, we have 10 people coming to our house. We need to provide blankets, we need to provide food. And so we were actually supporting these families with the supplies they need to welcome in their families and friend members that were coming to stay with them. You can go to the next slide. So, so into the weeks after the earthquake, Reykjavik, like I said, became that safe haven of a lot of informal camps. Any grassy area, any open area became covered with tents in Reykjavik. I went to Reykjavik a couple weeks after the earthquake. I actually experienced one of the large aftershocks, which was just like a small fraction of what the earthquake was. And I felt that fear. I slept at Karam House for 2 nights along with our board chair just because there was we couldn't stay at the hotel, we couldn't stay anywhere. We wanted to be for 2 nights. I slept with the door to the outside open in our clothes, ready to like flee. And this is in that situation is what people lived through for weeks. And that kind of really deep fear of sleep, deep fear of your home. A lot of our team and many, many people were sleeping in tents outside of their buildings because they were just so scared that that an aftershock is going to happen or another earthquake would happen and the buildings would fall on them in their sleep. And so that kind of like trauma was really, really horrific for everyone, Turkish, Syrian, whoever lived through that. But specifically for Syrian refugees, it was an extra trauma because it's people that have already lost their homes in all different kinds of ways and now losing it in this disaster. So these images, you'll see some of the pop-up camps that were in Reyhanli in on fields and that the municipality set. And so what we did is we were doing food distributions in these camps, but we also asked for a tent, a Karam house tent, and we called it our pop-up studios. And so we were able to actually bring the soul and the spirit of Karam house into these tents, and really provide that source of joy, of creativity, of laughter, of making, and some of the things, it wasn't just like all games, it was also basic robotics, problem solving, painting and creative arts, advanced robotics, and also games and play, and that provides psychosocial support. So this was a really, really great experiment that we did to show that we can actually create, like basically put Karam House a little bit on the move, make it a little bit more flexible, and we got a lot of support actually from our students, our Karam House students who also survived the earthquake and just wanted something to do. So a lot of these images of these sweatshirts are actually our students coming in, helping the mentors run these programs for all of these children in the camp. And it was a really rewarding experience to have. It also taught us how we are able to pivot our own programs and make them and be flexible to be able to provide them to others in a very different context than at Karam House. Some other initiatives that we did were a really important one was, we just saw so much initiative from our Karam House students and our Karam scholars. And we found out early on after the earthquake that a group of our Karam scholars were fundraising online on Instagram for their colleagues who had lost a parent or parents in the earthquake. And that was a really big tragedy in the earthquake, in that many families lost their lives together in the earthquake, but then you have families that they have students at university and they were far away, and these university students lost their entire families in the earthquake, and a lot of stories of sole survivors of families being university students. And so we found out that our students were fundraising for their friends that were in this situation so that they would be able to continue their education because they'd lost their families. And so we were really inspired by that. We were able to support that fundraiser and also provide extra support to all of our scholars that were impacted by the earthquake, as well as start a new cohort for Karam scholars that were impacted by the earthquake. And we opened it up for 75 seats. We received over 2,000 applications for these 75 seats, and we welcomed 75 new students from the earthquake zone into our scholars program. And Vicky, can we make that video? Does that video not work anymore? The one that was on? I wanted to just talk about, if you look at that middle photo on the top, this is a camp called Uzumdal camp that Vicky will be talking a lot about today, but I'll just go over it. So basically, this is a camp that's kind of 2/3 of the way. So Reyhanli is really on the right on the Syrian border, and Hatay is about 45 minutes north, and Uzumdal, I would basically say that it's probably about 2/3 of the way, like right outside of Hatay. And this is an area it's a new camp. It was established last fall, and the Turkish government brought together all of the Syrian refugees that were displaced by the earthquake and had been living in tents since the earthquake. So you're talking about people that have been living in tents for 10 months almost, and kind of really the forgotten people, the people that didn't have another place to go, another city to go, weren't able to go and rent a new home. So it's the most vulnerable of the Syrian refugees. They collected all of these people and built a camp made out of containers called Uzumdal. And Karam is the first organization to work in this camp. Throughout the year, we built really good relationships. Our team built really good relationships with the local municipalities and authorities, which they already knew us from before, but really they saw us really active. And so we got this prefab unit. And I mean, sometimes when I see this, I can't even tell the difference between it and Karam House. And so this exists inside that camp to serve these kids. And the video that you were seeing is some of the activities that the students are doing, which I find so heartening as well. We can go to the next one. So and Vicky will talk a lot more about the programs. And so we were able to do a lot of things that really kind of uplifted people's spirits. And one of the biggest ones was graduation. We were able to have a graduation both in Hanle and in Istanbul for our Karam House graduates. And we were able to have a beautiful graduation in Hanle for 90 students. And all of them, we were there, and it was an incredible experience. And we did something really big. We wanted to give a big gesture. So we were able to give all of our students a brand new laptop to support them on their future journeys, a lot of them heading towards university. And this was a big surprise. They were so happy to be able to receive this big gift. One of our students, Adam, who is headed towards, he's already in medical school, and he said when he was like hugging his laptop so hard when he received it, and he told our team that his mother was just every day praying that one day that they would be able to save enough money to get him a laptop for his studies, and we were able to support that. So it was a really important moment to celebrate the students, celebrate their resilience and everything that they've done, and really be able to tell them that, you know, you've gone through so much, but we believe in you. We believe in your futures, and you still can reach your full potential. And we're here to support you. Here you see some of the images of our graduates. And at the end of the year, we launched our first Winter After the Earthquake campaign in order to support more people that were displaced in the camp, and be able to provide them with the supplies they need, to help them in their first facing that first winter. And one of the other things that we were able to do after the earthquake was we haven't been functioning in Syria for a few years. And because of the earthquake, we had to jump in as well because the need was just so severe in northern Syria. And so we were able to do support inside Aleppo, being able to repair homes. Obviously, with partner organizations and partner groups, we were not there on the ground, and be able to have food distribution in Ramadan, in Idlib, also in Aleppo, as well as the IDP camps, the displaced people's camps in northern Syria. And be able to support a lot. And today we are continuing our food distribution in 3 camps in the Ghusn al-Zaytun area, which means the olive branch area, which is the area of northern Syria that is governed by the Turkish authorities. And so this is actually a project that you see, that's the video you see. This is a project that is implemented by Karam's team. Our team members go into this area of Syria, which is relatively safe, and they are able to go there every month and implement this distribution, oversee it, and interact with the families, which is also very moving for our team to be able. Some of them had not been in Syria for over a decade, and to be able to do that and support families is really meaningful. So today we are launching our new campaign, Renewing Hope and Rebuilding Lives, because as you all know, the earthquake took a few minutes and completely shifted everybody's lives forever. But recovery takes months and many years, and as you can see, the need is still urgent. The people need so much support, especially in these new camps that we are very excited to be able to go into and really serve this new community in a deep way. We need to be thinking about long-term recovery and how do we implement some of our programming in this new context. For all of that, we do need support and need everybody's support. And we wanted to share with you today this campaign, and hopefully you'll be able to support the campaign and share it with others so that we can continue to grow this year and be able to deliver more of our work and our services and our programs to more and more Syrian refugees that are in need in southern Turkey, as well as other areas. Thank you so much for your support, and I'm going to hand it over now to Vicky. Vicky Samia is our Karam Studios manager. She runs the innovative education programming in Turkey, and she is originally from Lebanon, but she's calling in from Venezuela, which is for our luck that she's able to be on this call because we wouldn't be able to get you somebody from Turkey this late. We had Suliman earlier who is also incredible. And so if you want to see that recording, he shared his experience of living through the earthquake. Today we have Vicky to share with us what it's like in this new camp, what kinds of things we're doing in our innovative education programming. Vicky is so brilliant, so great at everything she does. She manages a lot of people on the ground, and she's just such a creative and brilliant person. So I'm very excited to also see your presentation, Vicky. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Lina, for the introduction. Thank you, everyone, for being with us. I really appreciate it. And I hope I can show you a bit of positive outcomes and positive work that we've been doing on the ground in Turkey. I'll just share my screen and let me know if you're not able to see well. Okay, can you all see my screen, I think?
Yes.
Super. So I'll be sharing some images and numbers from our activities in the Uzumdal camp that Lina just presented to you. Basically, as you can see on the left, this is the current situation of the camp. We have, this is a bit old. There's no images available online, and we cannot take pictures inside the camp due to security reasons. So generally, this is the highway that links Antakya to Reyhanli, and the camp is kind of in the middle of basically, lands. And the highway cuts through two parts of the camp, so it's not connected. There's around 4,100 families living in the camp right now. And one thing that after we started working, we discovered was that there's a 53% literacy rate from the students who are participating with us. So there's a very high rate of students who don't know how to read and write in any language that live in the camp right now. This is our unit. The basically hangar we were able to get. Half of it is ours, and the other half is a community kitchen. As you can see from this picture, the camp is still under construction. It's very hard to establish a presence where there's so much works going on. If you've seen in the video before, if you've noticed, a lot of the kids could not wear any shoes because of the dirt outside. So like the situation already in the camp is improving, but it's still very hard to live by these conditions every day. We managed to establish this maker space or a maker lab. As you can see on the left, this is our space. It contains 3D printers, laser cutters, all types of tools and consumables that students can use to create awesome projects and learn a lot of skills that they cannot get access to right now. On the right, you can see what a governmental camp looks like, or what a traditional education setup looks like in the camp. It's more aimed towards kids that are aged 5 to 10. They do activities like drawing and dancing and stuff like that. We try to focus more on technology, on robotics, on fashion design, on graphic design, filmmaking, and we teach them these things through different activities that you will now see. A few numbers for you to understand the scope of our work. We had around 250 students sign up on our opening day. We had small activities outside the unit where students started to come in and join. The camp was not fully set up by then, so we had very few families, like 600 families, compared to the 4,000 right now. So as time progresses, more and more families are being settled in the camp, and they're not only coming in from Antakya, they're coming from different areas around southern Turkey to be placed in this camp right now. From these 250, we were able to get 117 students to participate in workshops throughout 6 weeks. The workshops, we will explain the curriculum a little bit later so that you can get an idea of what type of work we do there. 54 of these students were able to be enrolled in the program long term. So after having taken 6 workshops, we've noticed that there's a really high level, like advanced level with some students, and that can actually benefit from taking studios that are running in Rehanli in parallel. So this was a great development for us because from the literacy rate and like from the different indicators that we've had initially, we were not able to predict that you would have actually brilliant kids who were able to grab this opportunity with both hands and actually be able to produce awesome projects and basically be able to learn at an advanced level many different skills. 51% of the participants are girls in the program. This rate, we've always managed to keep a good, healthy balance between genders in every program we've done, whether it's in Istanbul, in Rehanli, or now in the camp. But in the camp specifically, this is a very important indicator for us. And why is that, you may ask? It's because basically a lot of kids in the camp come from very conservative families. And also due to the hardships that people are facing right now, many of the older kids who are 15 and up, usually boys go and work and girls just stay at home to help in the very hard situations that families find themselves in the camp. So basically, this number is a very positive number, and we hope to be able to give access to more girls to such activities so that they can have a better future and have access to a better education. Now some insight on the camp activities that we've done. We've had workshops in technology, in media, and in community. For example, in mini autos, we've had them learn car design, sketching, prototyping, learning basic electronics. How can I make motor car work? How can I control it from afar? These are basic electronic skills, but the kids were able to learn, and many of these kids, as I told you, do not know how to read and write, so they were able to understand all of this by memory and implement it. Even using laptops, we've had computer literacy workshops to teach them what is a laptop, how does a mouse work. Like there's a lot of progress that was done to be able to reach this level where the kids are able to produce a self-driving car. We've had media workshops, as I told you, that are more into stop motion. So we've had like them use disposable cameras that we've had, or small cameras, to kind of take pictures, a series of pictures, and animate them to create a small short movie. They had to create the story, they can do the animation, the sound design, and edit their movie through different software we've taught them with the laptops that they have access to. We've also taught them a little bit about virtual reality, so 3D modeling. They were able to create their own avatars through different softwares on their phones or on laptops. We've had them also work on cardboard automatas to learn the basics of prototyping. So how can I use different materials? How can I create small mechanisms that can operate and help me express my ideas later on in studios, hopefully. We've also had them create lighting through origami. This is all like basically sketching, prototyping skills. Finally, we're doing a small Scratch studio that helps them get into the world of coding and game design. And for kids who have had no access to a laptop and don't even know how to use a laptop, coming from here to be able to code your own game is honestly, in 6 weeks, was something amazing we've had the privilege of experiencing in the camps. So that's it for me. If you have any questions or would like to know more about any of our initiatives in the camp, please feel free to share.
Thank you so much, Vicky. It's amazing. I mean, I know this stuff and I'm still like I feel like really overwhelmed by like how like I'm very proud and happy and really in amazement that this can happen. So thank you so much for all of your hard work and all the team's work on this. And it is so true how people, the expectation of what a refugee child is capable of, or a refugee teen is capable of, or what's enough for them is something that we've been combating from the beginning at Karam. So the idea that this camp would have a maker space and laptops and all of these things for them to be able to build. They're building these robotic cars out of cardboard and being able to make things that move, because that is so much more important and impactful than a handout or somebody coming in with a bunch of toys and giving them stuff, or giving them clothes. And what we're giving them is really that feeling of agency and that feeling of this is fun, this is safe, I can meet my friends, and I also can be really, really cool, even though I don't even know how to read. I don't have school, I don't have shoes, but I can start to learn how to code. I mean, I don't think that there's anything more powerful than that. And so I'm really, really proud of these efforts. To have Suliman Faour, who is our assistant communications manager out of Karam House Reyhanli. Suliman has been with us for many years at Karam. I think since 2015. I think I met Suliman in 2015, maybe even earlier. I can't remember. But he is you all know his work. He is the brilliant designer, graphic designer, and he makes the most amazing videos. When you look at our annual reports, when you look at almost everything you see on social media, the graphics, the infographics, the photography, the videos, everything is Suleiman's design, and his creativity. And he's really one of the people that we love to work with in the communications department. The entire communications department is very talented, and Suleiman is really like uber talented. So I'm excited to speak with him today. He's speaking to us directly from Karam House in Reyhanli. So welcome, Suleiman.
Hey Lena, hey everyone. Glad to
Thank
be
you
here
so,
today.
thank you so much for staying up late for us.
No problem. My pleasure.
So I'm going to be asking you a few questions, and obviously you can share as much as you want. And if I'm missing anything, please add on, because I'm sure everybody's really very interested in hearing about your personal experience. And I know some of this is actually very, very difficult because it was a very traumatic time and a hard time. So if anything also is too hard, we can also skip pieces as well. But the first question I really want to ask you is how is it like to actually experience these earthquakes?
Yeah, like you've mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, it was like nothing we experienced before. Like I've been in Syria and I've witnessed the bombing on my area and back in Syria, and I've been threatened by military groups to be killed, and a lot of things that can't be imagined, but experiencing the earthquake is on another level, because like you don't know what to do. Like for the first moment, waking up to the whole building shaking is something that you can't like describe. Um, it's very difficult. I don't know how to
Yeah.
explain it.
Yeah, and I also remember when I came to Turkey like a couple weeks after the earthquake, and I felt the aftershock, which is like nothing obviously compared to the earthquake. But what really struck me is how afraid everybody was for many weeks after the earthquake. It wasn't just that day. People were every single day afraid of their buildings and afraid that the buildings are going to fall. And so many people from our team and so many people were just living in tents outside of their own home. And that really, really affected me deeply, because I mean, even as people who've lost their homes, to have a home and that it's still standing and to be afraid of it and sleep outside of it, I mean, that's just a whole other level.
Yeah, exactly. Like even now, so, like sometimes we will be sitting on the table, and if someone says like, did you feel that? Everyone will get scared. Yeah, because it's a trauma, I guess.
Yeah, it's terrible. What were the first things you did the day after the earthquake?
Um, um, I went down to get some water, and I heard my neighbor telling me that in Arabic he said "Antakya ala al-ard," which means like Antakya got destroyed. I didn't want to believe this, but I started to try and contact people who I know in Antakya to know if they are okay or not. Um, Obviously, the signal wasn't there, so it was hard to talk to anyone. But I tried my best to see who is okay and who is not.
Yeah, it was so hard that first day. So hard. Are there any stories or experiences from the community that you heard that you'd like to share? And it could be the first days, it could be later, any point.
Um, Honestly, one of the most sad story, I guess, it's the story of Noor, one of our students in Karam House, because she was away from her family, and she was in another city because she was attending university, and she, I guess, Muhammad talked. I heard it from Muhammad, one of our students, also. He told me that she was helpless, like she didn't know what to do. She was in another city, and her family was uh, all dead in Antakya. So it was hard for her because she didn't know if they were alive or not back then, um, and she had to deal with the uh, like mental breakdown because she didn't know what to do. She wasn't able to go back to see if they were alive or not, because back then, like the government was prioritizing the Turkish citizen over the Syrians. So they would go to places they would know Turkish citizens live there. So yeah, I think this is one of the most hard stories that I ever heard and during this experience.
Yeah, it was tragic. Do you know where she is now?
Uh, she got engaged and she is in another city. I'm not sure the name of the city, but yeah, she is with her uncle, I guess.
That's good. I'm glad she was able to find family too.
Yeah.
It's very sad. I remember also Wasik told me about a family that basically the whole I mean, Antakya, I mean, it was just such a tragedy that whole buildings were falling. And many times these buildings were really filled with actually like middle class Syrians, people who actually, and the tragedy of it is that people that were actually able to afford a home bought in these buildings that were built very quickly during the war and were built with subpar materials, and they fell completely. And so entire families lost their lives in one night. And Wasaq told me about a family that everybody had died. You know, dozens of people in one family died except for the grandparents.
Yeah, I guess
Just
the most hard thing to hear is someone is dead. So yeah, I agree.
yeah, Allah yarhamun.
Mm.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about the Karam students and the volunteers, because I know also you work a lot very closely with the kids and the students, even all throughout the years at Karam House. I know you have a close relationship with our students, and they trust you, and you have that kind of like brotherhood with them because you photograph them and and you interview them so much. So we had these students come and they want to volunteer, they want to support after the earthquake, and then at the pop-up tents. So tell us a little bit about their spirit and how that experience was to work with them.
Honestly, I think we wouldn't be able to achieve what we did if it wasn't for them, because like they gave the pop-up activities all the energy, all the spirit they needed, and the kids were loving them. Like even for now, if we met any kid from the pop-up tents that we serve, they would ask for certain people, like, where is Muhammad, where is Batul, where is someone, like they would ask for a student they worked with, or they interact with. And honestly, they are brave. Um, I always talk to myself and seeing them in the camp in Ramadan, delivering food to the tents, and I was asking myself, like, why are they doing this? We are not doing as much as they are doing as individuals, of course. So yeah, they are heroes, truly.
Yeah, true leaders, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How did life change in Rehanle, in your opinion? Has your daily life gone back to normal?
I mean, for the most part, yes, but a lot of things have been changed. So we will always remember the earthquake. Life isn't the same as before, but I think we are somewhat healing in Rehanle, of course. Don't talk about the camps because life there is a different story. But I think, yes, for the most part, the city is healing, the life is going back to normal. Uh, yeah.
That's really good to hear. So tell us about the Karam studios in Camp Uzumdal. What in your opinion, what is the impact of this space on the camp in your opinion?
Um, I would say the impact is really, really great. Like seeing all of the videos and the presentation and the photos, it tells how they are enjoying the activities and the workshop we are doing. And it's really a must in these camps because they are getting education, but not the education that they used to get back where they have had a normal life. So the impact can't be like described, but I would say it's something that we definitely should improve and keep going with.
What do the people in the camps need right now, from what you've seen?
Um, I would be honest here. In a Syrian camp, what I would say, like the real question is, what they don't need, because a lot of things are missing. A lot of people want to go out of the camp. It's not a life that you can get used to, because uh, it's really hard to get used to the life they are living now. But most importantly, I would say education is first, because a lot of kids are there. Um, and of course, like uh, medical attention are needed there. Uh, uh, like I would say مساعدات. I'm sorry.
Like humanitarian aid?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's necessary, of course. Um, Unfortunately, yeah, it's been like a luck for people to go to a certain camps, but in a lot of other camps, it's hard to imagine the situation there, because
Yeah,
of the Syrian and Turkish differential in the government.
which is really sad.
Yeah.
So, Suleiman, I mean, you're talking here with the people that support us and love Karam and really love your work. And I love this connection that you can see, your work where it reflects on our supporters. And we also have some familiar friends. We have Kinda here and Omar Salem and Helen is on and Michelle is on, people that know you. Um, and this recording is going to go out to more people from our supporters. So 1 year after the earthquake, what in your opinion, what do people around the world, what should they know about what Syrian refugees and Syrian communities need today? or what should they know about people who have been impacted by the earthquake?
That the Syrian community is resilient and is passionate and really tough. Like seeing people in the camp really enjoying life, knowing what they've been through, is really heartwarming. So yeah, I guess that's what I want to say.
Thank you so much, Suliman. So, the rest of the time is all up for you all to ask us anything. We have people from our team. Noor and Rama are part of the Karam Foundation communications person, and with Noor, both in the comms team, and then Dimitri is our Chief Strategy Officer. And we have Vicky, so really across all of us. And we have Sharad here is from the board. So really you can ask us really across anything that you're interested in knowing about what we've been doing, what we want to do next, anything that comes to mind.
We have a question that came in from email. They asked, what are the top priorities of the community right now? And what are ways that people can support the earthquake relief efforts 1 year later?
That's a great question. The top priorities really is, what we've been really trying to do from the beginning is how do we help in all the ways that we can, and also move ourselves towards where we want to be, which is where we were the day before the earthquake, in that long-term investing, building 10,000 leaders, being in the education space, supporting families, supporting more scholars. And so like that whole year was about pivoting and getting us closer to our programs, which now I feel that we are very close to, and it's very exciting to see our programs evolve and to be able to, for instance, work in a camp setting, work with younger ages. Our Karam Families program will have to evolve as well to get into the camp, to be able to look at this, child labor, like child marriages, all these things that we've been doing a lot of work on outside of the camp, now will have to be looked at inside the camp as well. And so the biggest priority for Karam is to focus on what we know works. Over the past 12 years, we've learned what works, and to actually like really do more of it to support a lot of people. In terms of how everybody can support us, we have the link here in the chat. Actually, if you could share our campaign with everybody you know, reminding people that the earthquake is not just about in the moment, it is really a long-term need. So even our website, if you go to karamfoundation.org, the campaign is right on the homepage. So it's a really easy share. Please, share our Instagram accounts. We'll be sharing over the next couple of months, a lot of stuff from this presentation, from the report, to be able to show people what has happened and what we're doing to help. And we have a lot of other things that we can do. Yes, please follow us.
We actually have another question. I think this is for Vicky. In your opinion, what do you think the kids enjoy most about participating in the programs at the camp?
Yeah, so basically, I think for the students, having access to all these innovative tools, such as the laser cutters, the 3D printers, laptops, cardboards, electronics, and most importantly, expert mentors that go with that and teach them what to do and give them professional opinion. So all our mentors are electrical engineers, designers, and they know what they're doing. So like having access to such expert mentorship widens their creativity and helps them think through projects and ideas like they've never been able to in a traditional learning environment. So I think in my opinion, yeah, that's what is the most valuable in their participation in the camp.
I have a question. Initially, when Karam went in to help, you distributed blankets and food and all that. How did you have all this stuff on hand? Did you at the centers have all these blankets and food for people, or did you have to scramble for them?
No, we had to scramble for them. And uh I honestly really don't know exactly how they did it, but they did. It was literally day one. I remember just being, creating like I know Dimitri was a big part of this. Like people were in Excel sheets, people were creating WhatsApp groups, everybody was checking in, and then they were starting to figure out like where can we get water. I mean, I think they just really went to find where what was available, and also Reyhanli was not destroyed. So there was access to stuff. It wasn't a lot of stuff, but they were just getting as much as they could. Because there was nobody around the first couple of days, like not everybody, like the Turkish government did not come in for a while, and no other organizations. And then Firas, who's our site manager, who was in Istanbul by coincidence, it was agonizing for him because his whole family, everybody he knows lived through it, and he was not there, so he was feeling a lot of like it was very difficult for him. But at the same time, by the time he was able to coordinate a truck to take him down because the roads were completely cut off, he was able to bring in a lot of stuff. So you'll even see that in those videos, maybe day 4 or 5 of after the earthquake, of like the truck coming, and it was filled with mattresses and diapers and water. And at that time also, he was hearing from the team, this is what people needed, and was able to just like fill it all up. And like you said, Linda, like we're not in the humanitarian, like we're not like we don't like do this at a large scale. So we also were doing what we could until somebody came in, like when the municipality stepped in and started giving out tents to people, when other organizations came in and started doing other things, like we immediately were moving to the next thing, because we weren't in it to just distribute. We were just doing it, filling a gap that was literally there was nobody there.
Pretty amazing.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I have a question if there's time.
Yes.
It stems from an observation from Vicky's excellent presentation, where I noticed a lot of the activities that they do had like a storytelling component to them. And as a clinical psychologist, I hear that and I think of like trauma and a way for children or adolescents of this age to kind of share what they've been through. So I'm wondering, through these activities, have you noticed any patterns in terms of like difficulties some of these students are struggling with in terms of mental health kind of perspective?
Thank you for that question. Our storytelling studios usually focus on hopefully, hope. So like we try to show them like, what do you want to be in the future? How do you see yourself? What type of career do you imagine having? Like basic topics that help them dream a little. A lot of times students come in and they're like depressed, like you see on their faces. They're just carrying a lot. Living in a camp is definitely not easy. You have your challenges. You're living in like one open room with all your family. So you can imagine how much trauma and how much problems you're hearing as a child. And then when you go to this space and you have kids that are all the same age, same background, and they're having the opportunity to express like what they want to be, it's generally like, honestly, there's a lot of different directions, a lot of like dreams. It takes some time to kick in, and like they can start imagining things. It doesn't come in as quickly as it would to a normal child, but it does. And like that's very impactful, like when you see that you are giving them, like asking them this question that they don't even ask themselves because of the situation and this camp. So it's a very positive, I think, development that you see, but like it happens slowly.
If I may jump in to this question, in one of our interviews with one of the kids in the camps, we have Mustafa and Suliman who are on the ground. They were doing some interviews with some of the kids, and they always ask them, about their names, what's their favorite activities, which, as Vicky said, they teach them how to use the computer, and everyone is excited about using the computer. But then one of the question was, what do you hope for the future? And one of the kids said, I hope that everyone who died would come back. So it is still in the back of their minds. They have this positive thing, but still some of it is still in the back of their minds. And then, that's how they look at the future while looking still back. So yeah.
Thank you for that answer, and that makes perfect sense, and it's so cool to see how these things aren't only educational, but they're also therapeutic in the sense that they're educational as well. So it's incredible work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kevin. And we've been told before about our work, you know, the maker space specifically, and the kinds of projects like the building, like a lot of people in the organization are architects. I'm guilty, and Vicky as well. So there's a lot of architectural elements, and actually our our program comes from Nouveau Studio, which is right in Cambridge. Said is a colleague, was a colleague of mine. So like we're very close with Nouveau. And but what we didn't know, and we found out that much later, that the maker space and the idea of you know, when a kid has to be sitting like with some of this equipment, and some of it is actually dangerous, like you have to be focused on like not cutting yourself, or you have to be focused on doing something very precisely. That act of pulling yourself into the present moment is almost like a meditation, which I never thought about that before. But we had also a psychologist was visiting, and he was watching the kids, and he said like that's what's happening to them right now, is that they're forced to be in the present moment for like longer periods of time. And that's very healing to people who've experienced extreme trauma. And we do find that the kids want to be at Karam House all the time. Like they would just like live there if they could. And so we knew always that that safe space and friendship and mentorship and feeling like you have access to tools, food, books, and all this has that magic to it. But then we didn't know that the actual activities have that kind of effect on kids.
If I may just share a small story as well, like right after the earthquake, you know, Karam House was closed. Like we weren't doing any activities, especially that we needed to have people come and consult the building, make sure that it's, you know, safe to get kids inside. And then we had kids come in and just stay outside. Like they were afraid to be in their homes. They wanted to be at Karam House, but they couldn't get in. And so what we did was we did this workshop where like a studio actually over 6 weeks, where we used the garden space next to Karam House, and we started teaching them how to plant, how to take stop motion videos of their plants growing, and basically like having them just work with their hands, create or design like devices to kind of you know water plants, you know, add different nutrients. What is your plant missing? How do you diagnose what's happening with your plant through artificial intelligence on your phone? Stuff like that. But like we started out with just like, you know, get these seeds and plant them on the ground. You're here in Karam House, but you're like, you know, being able to do activities, but like not inside the building. So that kind of brought them slowly back in to the program.
That adaptability is incredible, and like being able to model that too for them, that's remarkable.
Yes, I wanted to just say I'm so impressed that your organization, Lena and Vicky, it doesn't appear to be hindered by any bureaucracy. Like, you know, the things that handicap others in a situation like this, you appear to have, you know, an ability to just, I don't know, avoid that. And
This is just like glossy presentation, Judy.
well, but I mean, you were there and no one else wasn't, and you pulled it together somehow. It's pretty amazing. I'm very
Thank you
impressed.
so much.
I do give credit, honestly. I think like a lot of the people like on the team, we've been through so much, each in their own country, like me in Lebanon, them in Syria, and then, you know, even like kids who had to escape maybe in like very difficult situations. So having dealt with this like changes and traumas and different events, you kind of think like, okay, I now have two options. Either I just shut down, or I have to find a way to keep going and to find solutions. And so I think a lot, like all our team, having been through a lot of, you know, different challenges, just has this mechanism in your head, like, okay, I survived, what's next? Like, let's just keep this moving. It does come at a cost, of course, but like that attitude is like you're there and you're trying to help other people stand on their feet and continue, is exceptional to witness, honestly.
And also, there's a really important point, Judy, that to be honest with you, a big reason why we're able to function with the way we function, not just in the earthquake, but in general, is because of all of you, truly. And it's because the way that we actually operate and from our fundraising is that people like you trust us with your funds, trust that we're going to do a good job, but it comes with no strings attached. And so, for instance, when the idea that people need to be evacuated from Antakya, like we are not an evacuation organization, but when people are saying like there are people stranded that can't leave, they no longer have water, they no longer have food, they're cold, it's February, they've been on the streets for 3 days, what do we do? And then we ask like what is needed, and the response is there's buses available, we just need to rent buses and get people out. The answer is immediately get the bus then. The only reason we can say get the bus is because we have people like you supporting us, and that's why. And it's amazing because like every time I think about that we evacuated almost 500 people, it blows my mind because like how is that possible? It just makes me feel like what are other organizations or the government? Why wasn't the military there evacuating people? And we are able to do that. You know, what do people need is something that we've asked from day one when we started Karam, and to be able to respond to that need is because of all of our supporters who give us that trust that we're going to do things in a smart way and in a responsible way. But there is a lot of Turkish bureaucracy. Like we can do a whole presentation about that. But you know, it's also relationships. You know, we're proud of our relationships with our supporters. We're proud of our relationships with our community. And I have to give a lot of credit to Firas and the team on the ground. You have to constantly build relationships with the local authorities and the local municipality and constantly say, like, we're Syrian, we're here to support. We don't have an agenda except supporting people and doing that over years. Yes, we were there, but we'd been there for many years, and they knew who we were, and they allowed us that access to be able to support. And at the beginning, we were supporting Turkish and Syrian, like it didn't matter who it was. And as time passed, we went back to focus only on Syrian refugees because there was a whole different way of how they were treated. But we go in and you help everybody at the beginning. So, I mean, we're almost at time. I really appreciate you spending your evening with us. I know there's many more things you could do, and to spend that time with us is very moving. We'll share the recording. If you have any other questions, please reach out. We really appreciate all of your support. Hi, Farouk. I saw you come in. Thank you for joining. And it was really a great pleasure to be with you all. Thank you so much, Vicky, for your presentation. And I wish you all a great night.